Hi, this is going to be a quick tip, a tiny tip, but it's a really fundamental one, and it's going to be a two-parter actually. It's going to be an initial looking at colour complementaries, their relationships, and then a practical application of it in the kind of painting use of colour that I am doing. But that is also very useful for other periods, not just my own. It's just fundamental stuff, all of it, really. In thinking about colour, most people immediately think of the colour wheel. And, you know, that is one useful thing to look at, the colour wheel. You can see it very easily online on YouTube. There are people that talk about the colour wheel. But I want to talk about something that's much more practicable than thinking about the whole colour wheel, which is very immensely complex, that depths that you can go into thinking about it are astounding, really. It's a bit like mathematics, actually. It has that kind of depth and pattern in it that can be worked out. But I want to really get something very basic clear that is very helpful, that I've been long aware of through my fine art practice. And if you can get this first one clear, and then you will be able to apply it in the thinking that I'm going to present in the second video, and I'm convinced it will really help a lot. It's to do with modulation of colour, the second one. But this first one, colour relations, and its primary colours. Here we have a representation of the three primary colours. And it's useful to think, really, in terms of a triangle like that. Or perhaps it'd be clearer to do it that. Yeah, red, blue and yellow as represented by these three colours here. They're not necessarily exactly, this one's a little bit orangey, yellow, cadmium-y colour. This is quite a dark blue, really, and this is a slightly orangey red as well. But nonetheless, we have here a bright, clear red, yellow and blue, relatively. It's really worth thinking, as I say, in terms of three, a triangle. It helps, because beyond these three, the next things that we will be thinking about in terms of colour complementaries are the secondaries. And we can put the secondaries in like this. And we've got another expanded triangle. Can I do this? Sort of. You get the point, I hope. It's a question of camera angles, and ideally you'd be looking down directly onto these tops. But here you have an expanded triangle. And you have one triangle, really, inside another. And you can see by looking at this that when you mix this, I'm talking now purely in terms of pigments, not in terms of, you know, people might object that we can be thinking about light, mixing of light and so forth. I'm talking now in terms of pigment on the palette. Very simple, basic stuff, it seems, but it's more complicated than it looks. You can see that if you mix red and blue, you get violet. If you mix red and yellow, you get orange back here. Just see it. If you mix yellow and blue, you get green. Now, that is the relationship of primaries to secondaries. But there's something else going on here. Now, if you want to think about the complementaries of any one colour, and let's just presume for a moment, because the whole thing of this is to get this as second nature, really, so that it's in you as a painter. Let's just presume for the moment that you've forgotten what the complementary of red is. I expect that everyone here will know that the complementary of red is green. It might be a little less obvious, and to some people, what the complementary, for instance, and I'll block it out, of yellow is. Well, you can see it here. It's violet. It's on the opposite side. But if we expand this and you say, how can I work out what the complementary of yellow is? If you think of yellow as being one of the three primary colours, then if you then think, well, what are the other two? They're red and blue. Then you get violet, and that is the complementary of yellow. You could have done it the other way around. You could have said, what is the complementary of violet? I don't know. I don't know what it is. So you could say, well, it's a secondary. What are the two primaries that make violet? They are red and blue. Well, the other one, the other primary is yellow. So that's the complementary of violet. It works for all the others, of course. Red and green. Yellow and blue, the other two complementaries. Can you see that? The other two complementaries, yellow and blue, make green. So you think of that primary. Think primarily of the primaries, as it were. And thinking about green, the other two, the two complementaries that make green are yellow and blue. So the odd one out is red, and that is the complementary to green. Same with orange and blue. The two primaries that make orange are red and yellow. Therefore, the odd one out is blue, and that's the complementary of orange. And you can think of orange. What is that complementary of orange? I can't remember. Well, orange is made up of red and yellow, so therefore the other primary is blue. That's the odd one. That's the complementary. Well, I hope that's clear. A complementary, by the way, is a colour that makes another colour spark. It complements it. It makes it brighter and fuller when it's in relation to it, when it's next to it. And that's why it's so valuable to know this. But there's another reason to know this. There's another reason to be able to know instantly and feel it in your bones, really, what the complementary of any one colour is. And that is what I'm going to talk about in the second video. Please like and subscribe if you will, and thanks for watching.